What's up, bro? This is going to be episode 1 of DIPTALK. Consistency is something that was very hard for me to learn when I was a kid. And I come from an African background. So, every day when I was a kid, I was taught about consistency, discipline, punctuality, professionalism, etc. But consistency was the one that I kind of fell victim to the most. And the reason being is because I never saw the true power of consistency, right? And a way on how I was able to see consistency was through my fitness, through my body, and through training. And ever since I started lifting when I was in 7th grade, that was when I first was taught the true meaning of consistency. And you're consistent in whatever you're doing, you'll be 100% successful in it, right? If it's painting, if it's running, if it's doing dips, no matter what it is, as long as you stay consistent in it, as long as you wake up every day doing that thing, you will 100% be really good at it. And so the question is, what is it you're trying to be consistent with? What is it that you wish to be consistent with? And what are the things in your life that you want to stop being consistent in because it brings a negative light to your life, like weed, pornography, drugs, alcohol, etc. That's what I mean. So the question is, bro, is like, what are you trying to be consistent with, man? If it's learning Spanish, for example, and you want to be consistent with learning Spanish or another language, okay, what do? You start with the plan. Okay, where is it that I'm trying to go? Where am I currently at? You're cultivating a plan for where you're trying to go. And once you have formulated that plan, you then think to yourself, okay, what is it that I have to do every single day to actualize the end point, the end goal, right? So let's stick with this example of Spanish. If I'm trying to become B1, for example, in Spanish, then okay, what is it that I have to do every day? I like using flashcards for studying. Let's say I study 100 flashcards a day of phrases, verbs, conjugations, etc. every single day, right? And then when I get to a point where I'm extremely confident with that first set of flashcards, I then can go into speaking. I can go into practicing my accent. I can go into practicing the way of how I shape my sentences, and then I can get into the more advanced stuff. Obviously, this is more of a surface level based way of thought. But, the best thing to do is, of course, is just start whenever you're wanting to learn something new. And then as you start, you begin to snowball. You begin to snowball in terms of action every day, right? And so once you build that momentum of snowballing for that specific thing, you'll look back 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and be like, wow, I can't believe that's where I started. And this is where I am now. And so consistency is what the name portrays, There's no easy way around it. There's no shortcuts whenever it comes to being consistent. There's no cheat codes. There's no steroid. There's no herb, no enhancement. It's raw. Consistency is raw, right? And you'll be able to tell somebody's competency with something based on how consistent they've been for that specific thing. Like, for example, if you were somebody who was wanting to get a haircut, would you rather go with the barber who's only done 10 haircuts, right, in a span of 3 months? Or would you like your uncle or something like that, who doesn't even cut hair? He cuts hair, but he doesn't really cut hair. Or would you rather go with the barber who's been cutting hair for 4 years and has done over 5,000 haircuts? Something like that. You'd rather go for the individual who has had more experience, who's been more consistent. Same thing with a coach, a mentor, a teacher, all of that applies. And so the question is, bro, is what are you trying to be consistent in? Is it being lazy, doom scrolling, watching pornography, eating your meat, smoking weed, hanging out with the wrong people? Because if you want to be consistent in that, you already are. You're already successful in being consistent with that. Congratulations. But you have to understand that when you're consistent in something, there's obviously going to be some sort of outcome to come from it, right? So if I'm consistent in trying to improve my Spanish, the outcome is that I speak proficiently when I travel abroad or when I talk to my friends. That's the outcome. I'm able to talk to them in their native language. I'm able to talk to locals when I travel to Spain or Mexico or other Spanish-speaking countries. And I'm proud of myself for that, right? But let's look at the other side. If I were to be extremely successful in doom scrolling, smoking weed, eating my meat, etc., all these different types of things, the outcome is depression. The outcome is slothness, greediness, gluttony, because doing things that don't yield you any benefit are going to yield you negatives. They're going to yield you things that are detrimental to yourself and the people around you. And so consistency is key in everything, honestly. It's key in everything, man. And if you get that down, you will have everything you ever desire ever. But if you give up after a few days, after a week, after a month, then how do you expect to obtain all that you desire? And so consistency is key. And if you master consistency, you master yourself to an extent, right? Even if you master doom scrolling and eating your meat and smoking weed, you've technically mastered yourself. You've gotten to the point where it has become extremely easy for you to doom scroll, to watch porn, to eat your meat, to smoke weed, to drink alcohol, to hang out with bad friends. You've made it easy for you to do it, right? When it should be easy for you to go into the gym at 5 a.m. in the morning. Well, it should be easy for you to take a cold shower. Well, it should be easy for you to go and talk to that cute girl across the table or across the room. Well, it should be easy for you to go out on a walk when you don't want to go on a walk, or go on a run when you don't want to go on a run. That's the side of consistency that you have to be on, that you have to get yourself to be on. And, as you get older and older and older, man, it becomes harder for you to build those types of channels. It's going to be hard for you to build that type of discipline. Inconsistency. Discipline is a whole other conversation, but consistency and discipline both intertwine with one another. And so, what type of man do you want to be? You want to be a man who's consistent in everything all other average men are consistent in? Or do you want to be a man consistent of things to push you to become the best version of yourself? Choose what to be consistent in, and you will reap the rewards. That's it. If you choose, consciously, voluntarily choose what you want to be consistent in for the rest of your life, you will find reward, monumental reward. You will find reward that you'll actually be proud of yourself with. You'll find reward that you can share amongst your friends and family. Or do you want to be given the reward of what comes out from doom scrolling, from beating your meat, from smoking weed. You know, you wouldn't want to share that with anyone, right? It's not like you tell the world, hey guys, I goon every day. You know, it's pretty dumb. I would rather say, hey guys, I made $28,000 today just from doing things that I was consistent in the past, and I can teach you how to do it. Or here's my process, or I'm just sharing it because I just want to inspire others. So, brother, there's a lot of stuff happening around the world, a lot of things trying to take away your attention. And if you're not careful with what you're consistent in, then you will fall in the pit of laziness. You'll fall in the pit of high screen times. You'll fall into the pit of lust. You'll fall into the pit of gluttony, slothness, laziness, everything, depression, etc. So, what side of consistency do you want to be on?